Welcome to BookTalks Native, where you learn English by listening to native speakers and learn life lessons from great books.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the book, Ikigai. You've probably seen it around, right? Maybe even wondered what it's all about.
Yeah, it's definitely gained a lot of popularity.
Well, in simple terms, it explores this really interesting Japanese idea of what gives your life meaning. And it's really connected to your overall well-being.
That's right. It's more than just, a trendy title on a bookshelf. It's a way of thinking, a philosophy almost.
Right.
We've looked at some really interesting sources that help explain what Ikigai truly means. So by the end of this discussion, hopefully, you'll have a much clearer picture of how this concept might offer you some valuable insights.
Insights into finding purpose and happiness, which, let's face it, is something most of us are looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's unpack the word itself first. The book goes into the original Japanese characters. I won't try to pronounce them perfectly, but one part relates to life or to live. And then it's combined with another part that means reason or worth.
Exactly. So when you put it together, Ikigai basically translates to a reason for living.
Or a life worth living. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What is that reason for each of us?
It does. And what's interesting is how this idea of having a purpose connects with, other ways of thinking about meaning in life.
Like what?
Our sources touch on this by mentioning the link from logotherapy to Ikigai. You might be familiar with logotherapy. It was developed by Viktor Frankl.
Oh, right. The psychiatrist who survived the concentration camps. Man's search for meaning.
That's the one. Logotherapy really emphasizes how crucial it is for humans to find meaning, even when facing really terrible situations.
Okay, I see the connection.
So, in a way, Ikigai can be seen as offering a kind of practical path to identifying that personal something to live for in your day-to-day life.
That makes sense. That quest for meaning is... Yeah, I think many of us can relate to that. And building on that feeling of being engaged and alive, the discussion in our sources moves to the idea of flow.
Flow, yes.
How does that tie into Ikigai? You know that feeling when you're just so focused on what you're doing that everything else just fades away.
Time disappears.
Yeah, time seems to disappear and you're completely absorbed in actually enjoying it.
Exactly. That's the state of flow. The material we've looked at mentions there are generally 7 conditions that help you get into this state.
7, okay.
We won't list them all out right now, but the key thing is understanding that regularly experiencing this deep sense of engagement and enjoyment in your activities, that's considered a really important part of living your Ikigai.
So finding activities that put you in that state.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Think about maybe a hobby you have, or even sometimes work tasks where you just lose track of time completely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a glimpse of flow, and the idea is to find more of that in your life, integrate it.
Now, here's where I found a really compelling connection. The sources link Ikigai directly to living a long life.
Right, the longevity aspect.
Yeah, drawing from a section called Masters of Longevity. They even share some direct quotes from people in Japan who have lived exceptionally long lives. It's fascinating.
Oh, what did they say?
Well, one person said, "Eat and sleep and you'll live a long time. You have to learn to relax." Simple, right?
Very fundamental.
Another just stated pretty bluntly, "I've never eaten meat in my life."
Interesting dietary note there.
Then there's the wonderfully simple, "Everything's fine, and if you keep your mind and body busy, you'll be around a long time."
Keep active mentally and physically. That seems key.
And my favorite, perhaps most direct, "I just haven't died yet."
Can't argue with that logic.
No, but these little snippets, they really give you a sense of the mindset, don't they? And the daily habits common in these communities.
They absolutely do. What strikes me most is how grounded it all seems.
Exactly. It's not about some complicated, expensive health regime. It's about fundamental things. Getting enough rest,
Relaxing.
paying attention to what you eat, staying active both mentally and physically, and maybe crucially, not getting overly stressed. Everything's fine.
That positive outlook, perhaps?
Yeah.
And that point about keeping your mind active, that leads us nicely to another idea from our sources. Never stop learning.
Yes. That's highlighted as really important for a long and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. It aligns perfectly with the idea that Ikigai isn't some static thing you find and then you're done. Right?
It evolves.
It evolves, continuously seeking new knowledge, staying curious, engaging your mind. It gives you that sense of ongoing purpose and keeps you connected to the world, no matter your age.
And it gets even more specific. Our sources share lessons from Japan's centenarians, focusing on advice from a town where people apparently live longer than almost anywhere else.
Okay, what's the secret from this town?
Again, surprisingly down-to-earth stuff.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Easier said than done, but noted.
Haha, yeah. Also, cultivate good habits.
Yeah.
Nurture your friendships every day.
Ah, the social connection. That's huge.
Definitely. Live an unhurried life.
Slow down. Don't rush.
And finally, be optimistic. It's almost like a little blueprint for a good life, distilled into these very simple principles.
It really is. And if you connect those principles back to the broader concept of Ikigai, you can see how each one contributes to that feeling of having a reason for living,
How so?
Well, strong friendships give you belonging and support. A positive outlook helps you navigate challenges. Good habits support your physical and mental well-being.
It's all interconnected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All feeding into your sense of purpose.
Now, our sources also briefly touch upon the Ikigai diet. They mention info from the World Health Organization and Japanese and U.S. health ministries. So it sounds like what you eat is definitely another piece of this puzzle.
It seems to be. While the material we looked at doesn't go into super specific menus, it does suggest that the dietary patterns in these long-living communities are another important factor. They contribute to overall health and vitality, which, in turn supports their Ikigai.
You might guess things like lots of vegetables, maybe fish.
Probably things like focusing on whole, unprocessed foods, portion control, that sort of thing, seems common in those blue zone type areas.
Makes sense. And it's not just about diet, is it? There's also the idea of gentle movements, longer life. Our sources mention practices like yoga and Tai Chi, so physical well-being, but maybe in a gentler form, is also part of it.
Exactly. These kinds of activities aren't just about, strenuous physical fitness. They also promote mental clarity, flexibility, balance, a general sense of well-being.
Less stress, too, probably.
For sure. They contribute to that feeling of being capable and engaged with life, which is, again, a key part of having Ikigai.
Okay. Finally, our sources introduce the ideas of resilience and wabi-sabi as they relate to Ikigai. Now, I've heard of wabi-sabi. Isn't that the Japanese idea of finding beauty in things that are imperfect?
Yes, exactly. Imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Finding beauty in the flaws and the natural cycle of things.
Okay, so how does that fit in with Ikigai and resilience?
Well, what's fascinating is the connection between accepting that things change, that things aren't always flawless, and our ability to bounce back from difficulties, our resilience.
Ah, I see.
The sources briefly mention steps to build resilience, and this mindset of wabi-sabi, appreciating the beauty in imperfection, accepting the natural flow of life, it can be a really powerful way to navigate challenges.
So you don't get derailed when things aren't perfect.
Precisely. It helps you maintain your sense of Ikigai even when things don't go exactly as planned. By not striving for some unattainable perfection, you can find more contentment in the present, in the reality of things.
Wow. Okay. So if we try to bring it all together, Ikigai isn't just one simple thing, is it? It feels much bigger.
Not at all. It's this really rich, multifaceted concept.
Yeah, it involves finding your purpose, whatever that means for you, experiencing that state of flow, adopting habits that support longevity, like healthy eating and gentle movement,
Nurturing your relationships.
nurturing relationships, building resilience, maybe even by accepting imperfection through wabi-sabi. It really does sound like finding your own Ikigai is a deeply personal journey.
It absolutely is a journey of self-discovery. It's about taking the time to explore what truly gives your life meaning and then actively integrating those elements into your everyday existence. It's not a destination, more like a way of traveling.
Way of traveling, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on Book Talks Native. If you found this deep dive into Ikigai helpful or just interesting, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more book discussions.
Your support helps us keep these conversations going.
It really does. We aim to help you learn English and gain valuable life lessons along the way. Thank you, and we wish you good health.
Good health, everyone.